What's up, everyone? And today I'm bringing an updated deck profile on my Sky Strikers. Now, Sky Strikers gotten a bit better, mainly in the fact that they now have 2 engage and multi rolls also back to 3. Also got some new support, although I don't really run it because the new support isn't really all that great. But the deck is still very powerful. And without further ado, let's get right into it. First, I run 3 Sky Striker Ace Ray. Ray is your main monster, more or less, and it has a quick effect to special summon one Sky Striker monster from your extra deck, or tribute it to special summon a Sky Striker from the extra deck. And when it's in the graveyard and one of your Sky Striker links is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon itself. So it's definitely really good. So usually what you do is go normal summon on your turn, link it away. Then during your opponent's turn, let's say they destroy that monster, you summon this again, then link it to another Sky Striker Link monster. I don't play Rose because honestly, Rose just really isn't needed anymore. Now that we have 3 Ray, 3 linkage, 2 engage, like we have multiple ways to get to a Ray. So Rose, we just don't really need it anymore. Next, I run 3 Ash Blossom and Joy of Spring, as well as 2 Nibiru. I built this mainly for going second, and I usually opt to go second because this deck's just better at going second. Going first, there's a lot of things you just really can't do. Since you can't attack, you can't use Hayate, so you're basically reliant on what you draw. If you're going second, then you have a lot more interactions. And I noticed this deck can play through most boards pretty easily. Like against a lot of decks, they'd have like maybe 3 negates, and I can just play through that with ease. Moving on to the spells, which there are a lot of. I run 2 copies of Engage, now that it's at 2, and I got the alternate art, which I think is pretty cool. Having Engage at 2 is really a game changer for this deck, because Engage is not once per turn. And there's actually several times where I draw Engage off of Engage, which would just be really good. So Engage, basically search any striker card, and if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you can draw 1 card. Also run 3 Widow Anchor. Widow Anchor is the second best card to engage. Basically, you could negate one of your opponent's monster's effects, and if you have 3 or more spells in the grave, you can take control of it. So that's definitely really good. You can interrupt them at a key point in their combo, which could really mess them up. Next, I run 3 copies of Sky Striker Mobilize Linkage. Linkage allows you to special summon a link monster from the extra deck by using a card you control. So let's say you open your hand and you don't have any Ray or a way to get to Ray, but you got Linkage. Essentially, you can use Linkage to send 1 card you control to special summon a Sky Striker extra deck monster to the extra monster zone. Really good for consistency. Next, I run 3 copies of Multi-Roll. Multi-Roll's really good. I don't really need it at 3 so much because there are times when it's useful and times where it just doesn't really pull as much weight. But it's got 2 effects. The first one is to send 1 card you control to the graveyard, and your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to your spell cards. So let's say you got that in the field spell but no Ray. Essentially, you can send your field spell to a special A Ray from deck. And Multi-Roll has the secondary effect to where during the end phase, you set Sky Striker spells with different names up from your graveyard up to the number of spells you've used this turn. Also run 2 copies of Afterburner. This is one I've kind of thought about bumping up to 3 because it's really good. You know, it's just pop a monster on the field. That's more or less it. And if you have 3 spells in grave, then you can destroy a spell trap as well. Also run the 1 Jamming Waves. Jamming Waves is weaker than Afterburners because it can only target a set spell trap and destroy it, which sometimes will come up, sometimes won't. Also run the 1 Shark Cannon. It's kind of like Called by the Wave, to where you can banish a card from your opponent's graveyard, and then if you have 3 more cards in your graveyard, you can special summon it to your field. Also run Hornet Drones. Summon the token, more or less. Also run 2 copies of Area 0. Area 0 is really cool. You can target one of the cards you control, activate the top 3 cards, add 1 Sky Striker card, and if you do, destroy the targeted card or send it to the graveyard. And if you don't, then if you don't see a Sky Striker card, then it just stays on the field. Additionally, if Area 0 leaves the field by a card effect, then you can special summon a Sky Striker Ray from your deck. Also run the 1 Terraforming to search it out. I also run 3 copies of Raigeki. Since I'm going second, I want cards that can just blow things up, especially if they're a spell card. Lightning Storm is a consideration, but it just doesn't really do as much as Raigeki. While yes, Lightning Storm, it's got both the Raigeki and the Harpy's Feather Duster. Was it Feather Duster or Feather Storm? I don't know. Yeah, it was Duster. Both the Duster and Raigeki effect. The Raigeki effect only affects attack position monsters. And I noticed in a lot of duels, like a lot of people will summon it in defense if they don't have to summon it into attack. So I feel like Raigeki just covers more ground. That and it's not once per turn, and you don't have to. You can have whatever you want on the field. So if I happen to draw into it off of engage, then I can just use it then. Also run 2 Pot of Desires. We need some draw power in this deck outside of Engage, but of course we can't run Extravagance or Prosperity, so we're not really left with a whole lot of cards you can run. Pot of Desires is one that we can. Now that Engage is at 2, we don't have to run the risk of banishing all our copies of Engage as much. Usually I try to get Engage out, or at least 1 Engage into the grave or my hand before I activate Desires. Also run 1 Avarice. It definitely comes up quite often, especially when it turns into a grind game, which if it's going against a Mirror Match or Runic or some other decks, which this deck can force things into a bit of a grindy state, then having that ability to shuffle back your Link monsters into the extra deck is definitely really good because it allows you to basically go on for longer, and it's a draw 2. Speaking of draw 2s, I also run 3 Triple Tactics Talents. Talents, really good if your opponent activates a monster effect. They can draw 2, rip a card out of your opponent's hand, or change of heart one of your opponent monsters. Of course, I also run Rhoda, and I also run an Upstart Goblin, draw 1 card, and it's a spell. And as far as traps, we only have the 3 copies of Infinite Permanence. Moving on to the extra deck. I run 3 copies of Shizuku. Shizuku is one of the main extra deck monsters. Basically, during the end phase, you can add one of your Sky Striker spells from your deck to your hand. That does not have its same name as one in your graveyard. So if you have Engage in your graveyard, you can't really add off of Shizuku. Also run 2 copies of Hayate. Originally I was running 3, but I bumped 1 down for a 2nd copy of Zeke. Hayate, when it attacks, it can attack directly and when it inflicts battle damage, I can send a Sky Striker card from my deck to the graveyard, which works well with Sky Striker Kagari, which I run 3 of. Kagari, when it's Link summoned, you can add one of your Sky Striker spells that's in your graveyard to your hand. Also run 2 copies of Zeke. Now, the main reason I run 2 copies of Zeke over 1, which is what most people run, is because of Widow Anchor. I like to take my opponent's monster and then just link it off through Zeke. And Zeke also has a pretty cool on-summon effect, is to where you can target one face-up monster on the field, bash it until your opponent's end phase, or next end phase. So if you're going first, or no, if you're going second and you summon this out, you can banish that opponent's monster until their next end phase. Also run the 1 Kaina. Kaina comes up sometimes, especially when you're kind of just trying to survive, which is a lot of time what this deck will do. Like you'll have your say you end on Shizuku, then they destroy it, then you bring out the Ray, then you go right into Kaina to prevent one monster from attacking. Also run 1 Dark, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Unicorn, and 1 Access Code. I didn't really summon Access Code too many times, but it did come up occasionally. It's just nice to have that board ending option. And of course, we have limitless fodder for the Access Code Talker because all of these are different types. What do you think of Sky Strikers? Do you think it's a really powerful deck? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Mate. Bye.